to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. It's Friday, and you didn't hear me say, hi, welcome to Power Talk Friday on A Well-Designed Business, right? Don't worry. Power Talk Friday isn't going anywhere for long, but we are introducing a new feature here on Fridays, and it is called The Things I Learned from a Well-Designed Business Listener Shows. So, as I said, Power Talk Friday is not going away, but I'm going to intermingle these two features on Fridays. I know that a lot of you do like the Power Talk Fridays. And as a matter of fact, recently at one of the Lunch and Learns at Window Works, my friend Pat Ziv, who is an interior designer here in New Jersey, said to me, I like the Power Talk Fridays the best. So I thought that was interesting. So have no fears. They are still going to be here. But the thing is, over the last 2 years, I have received so many emails from you guys that once in one hand, definitely just in general, thank for the show, which is so sweet and so nice of you to take your time to do that. But then often I will receive an email where you actually list all of the things that you have done in your business because of the podcast. And if you remember, Darcy Heather was one of those. And I interviewed her last year because I can remember when she emailed and she said, yada, 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 and boom, here's all the things I've done. And I was like, oh my goodness, we have to get you on the show, right? Since then, I remember Kimberly K of Kimberly K Interiors did the same thing. And I immediately said, hey, come on the show. And these were two situations where we did talk about the things that they've specifically mentioned that they learned on the show. But then there were others throughout the years that have done this too. And then I didn't end up talking with them about that on the show. I'm thinking of Morgan and Ryan of Lot 35 Homes. Morgan sent a detailed entire list of everything that she has done in her business since the podcast. And then we ended up talking about completely different things. So it hit me that I have not been very intentional about this when I receive an email like this to make sure that when I do invite that listener onto the show, that I discuss this specific list with all of you, because it occurs to me that if you hear often enough, not only the lessons that the guests are sharing with us on the show, but if you hear your peers doing the things, taking action, and explaining to us the results of taking those actions, then maybe it might just be that little extra push that you need to take information from a notebook to doing it. Okay, so that is the thing that is motivating me now. So today is a new beginning. All right. And so this would be the second official, The Things I Learned from a Well-Designed Business podcast. Okay. So I have to warn you, there is a lot of information in this show. And because of that, I have done the free PDF that I do randomly. I used to be very, very good about doing them all the time. And I randomly do them now. I know that. But the thing is, I knew that it would be important for you to have it for this show. So you can get your free PDF of The Things I Learned from Elizabeth Scruggs at www.luannigara.com/305. This is episode 305. I know in the past I've done it luannigara.com/Elizabeth/ whatever, but we're starting to get, some guests with the same name. So that's not working so good. So this one is at www.luannigara.com/305. All righty. Okay. So now today my guest is Elizabeth Scruggs. She is the owner of Superior Construction and Design in Tennessee. And I have to say, I often paraphrase a guest bio when I do their introduction, but I'm going to read hers. See if you recognize some of the many criteria that we have discussed as being important to include in your About You. Here we are. Elizabeth is the mid-state area's only female general contractor and designer and has been in business since 2000. Recognizing a love of construction when building her own home at the age of 24, she knew coupling that knowledge with her interior design skill was a service few could provide. Elizabeth and SC&D have won numerous awards over the years and believes that continuing education is vital for success. Elizabeth attends industry trade events and market events each year. She was a member of the Modenus blog tour of K-biz in January of 2018. Elizabeth currently serves on the National Board of Directors for the Real Estate Staging Association, the Board of Directors for the Nashville chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction. She is the vice president of the virtual chapter of the Interior Design Society and the National Kitchen and Bath Association. Elizabeth's clients are busy working professionals in the age range of 45 to 55 looking to upgrade their current home, but lacking the time and desire to oversee it. She finds her sweet spot in handling these full home renovations from inception to completion. Elizabeth has been a contributing writer for Wilson County's premier magazine, Wilson Living, for 6 years, and she has been featured in the Lebanon Democrat, the Wilson Post, and the Mount Juliet Chronicle. Elizabeth resides in Tennessee, just east of Nashville, with her husband of 26 years and their twin daughters and young son. Now, I just can't even, really, it hits all the spots. Do you hear Fred Burns in your head? I'm just saying, right? But it's true. The entire introduction makes a connection on many levels, and I just have to say, I love it. I love it a lot. So let me introduce you to Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining me on the Well Designed Business today.
Thank you, Luann. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. And so here's the thing. I said in the introduction, we have had, several guests over the last couple of years send me emails. The number one that sticks out in both mine and your mind, we talked about it off air, is Darcy Heather, right here from New York City, where guests have sent me a very nice email and they've listed to me the things that they have done since listening to the podcast. And so, yeah, it's been a sort of a thing, but now it's a thing. It's a thing, right, Elizabeth?
It is a thing.
That's it. We're officially making it a recurring series of the things I learned from a well-designed business. So while others have shared it with me, you're the first one that I'm intentionally, this is what our conversation is going to focus around. So, and what I love about it is because it really makes it so that if you're listening, you can visualize that you can take action and you can do things. And I really, really am hoping that this will serve as inspiration for anyone listening to say, hey, if Elizabeth did it, if Darcy did it, I can do it too, right?
Right, me too.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Elizabeth, you sent me a list of 15 things that you could think of that you learned directly from the podcast and you took action on. And then you shared about 4 or 5 other lessons that are just recurring lessons that have been expressed by several guests and that are overriding themes of things to do in business. And then you sent me in the list, it included another 3 or 4 things that you were already doing and you just thought, you know what, I do that and that's good. Just keep doing it, right?
Right.
So let's start with let's start with the list of 15, okay? Because I think that this is going to be a fun thing to go through. The first thing on your list is that you mentioned Brittany Elms, who is the owner of My Design Assistant, and her show was episode 149. Share with us what it was about Brittany and her company that moved you to action.
Help. Somebody who could do something for me that was taking me literally hours to do. And I found myself maybe putting off a certain project. If I knew I had to work on a floor plan, not work on the floor plan, but, do it in a 3D, or a 3D situation where I could send it to my client, because I just had trouble doing it. I didn't have trouble doing it. It just took me a very long time, 2 to 3 hours. And when I heard the podcast with Brittany, I was like, oh my goodness, you mean I can just send my measurements to her and she can spit it out? And man, she does. And it's been a game changer for me. I mean, I just send her what I need, and she has such a fast turnaround, and she's just precious, and it's changed things for me. It really, really has.
Isn't that something? Now, is it the type of thing that, because it's over a year since I've spoken with Brittany, so I don't know if her business model is the same exactly as it was in the podcast. So just in case, so first of all, go back and listen to 149. You'll get the full details on Brittany's business. But tell me, Elizabeth, is it the sort of thing where you have to have her on retainer and commit to X amount of hours a month, and you easily hit that number, so it was a no-brainer? Or can you hire Brittany for one-off projects?
I am pretty sure you can hire her for one-off projects, but I do buy a block of time.
Okay.
I believe it's 15 hours, and it's either 10 or 15. I can't remember. But you buy a block of time, and then at the end of every month, she'll send me an invoice that says, we've used this much of your time, you have this much left, or so far I've not had an invoice at the end of the month. And she'll say, she'll send me an email when we're getting close to the end of our time. So
wow, that's efficient. So that's great, because see, the reason I like that, on top of you being able to do things that you're more productive doing and you offloading things that you are not productive in doing, I like that you can budget it into your cost to be in business number, because if you are, like you said, whether it's 10 or 15 hours and whatever it costs, she's not going to just run over it at the end of the month, go, well, you used 45 hours this week. She's alerting you when you are nearing the end of your allotted hours. As a grown-up, you can probably choose to purchase more if you want. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah, because if you are knee-deep into some projects, that assistance would help you move that project along quicker, which we all know when a project goes quicker and smoothly, it's more profitable, right? We don't drag it out and wait to collect our monies and so forth. So that's awesome. So she does the 3D drawings for you. Are there other tasks that Brittany does for you, or that's the number one thing that you need from her?
Really, the number one thing I need from her is a floor plan, like a to scale floor plan. Okay. I do a lot of kitchens and baths remodels, and so kitchen cabinetry, the specs for those, and then she'll do the 3D as well, where my client can see the 3D. It's more helpful for them to see the 3D, whereas it's more helpful for me to see like a bird's eye view floor plan. But she does both of those, and then she's done a couple of furniture layouts for me, and she'll also, I've not had her do this yet, but she'll also specify, specific furniture pieces. She'll do sourcing for you and all that.
Wow.
So
Terrific. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I just recommended her to somebody in our mastermind just last week, because it's true. You need to know what you do well and what produces money for your firm, and the things that you don't do well and or are just, even if you were completely capable of doing it, if you can pay somebody else to do it and you can move on to doing something that will earn you more dollars, that's a smart way to do things. So I love it. Okay, good. All right, so number 2 was Gavin Zuklinski from Acuity Scheduling, number 241. Tell us about your aha with that program.
Oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. That has been such a game changer for me too. I'm a one-woman show, so I'll have people texting me all day long and calling me just like everybody else. And sometimes, and this is so bad, sometimes I will see a text come through and I might be in the car or whatever, and I'll forget to text them back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's so bad,
It
and
happens to all of us.
I know, but it just, oh, I hate that. So,
Mm-hmm.
or even a voicemail. And, so now I've got on my voicemail, if you call me, and it's all over my website and everything, if you need to make an appointment with me, it's all done through my website. And so even when people call me, I just send them straight there. I don't have to think about it. My calendar's on there. They can schedule their, what they want and when they want it, and they pay up front. And so I've even got on, just recently put on there a pick my brain session
Mm,
because I have so many people call all the time that just, can I take you to coffee? Just like all of us, can I
right.
take you to coffee? And, if I had coffee all day with everybody that called me, I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. So I put that on there, and so it's just been great. And so I know when they book, a consult with me, they're serious.
Yes.
They're a serious client. They're not just wanting to, just hang out and chat about paint colors for 15 or 20 minutes and move on down the road. So, but
I
it's been
love that. So now when you talk about pick your brain, you're talking about potential clients. And so what is that? So do you charge for, is that, what is that? Do you charge for that?
I do.
And how long is that phone call a schedule for?
30 minutes.
Okay, so you have in the Acuity scheduling, you have it as a pick your brain 30-minute phone call, and then you attach a price to it. So this could be a stranger client. This could be a stranger person who just calls up and says, I wanted to ask you a few questions about how does a kitchen renovation work? What's the process? That's something you would charge for, or that's not a charge for service, but this would be, I have my kitchen, I did it all, and now I'm just looking for, questions on what kind of, pulls and handles to use. Like, tell us a little bit about the types of things that are in Pick Your Brain and what you charge for it.
Either one of those situations.
Okay.
Because I have so many people call me. And to tell you the truth, and this kind of separates things really fast.
The tire kickers.
I've not booked one yet because I have people call me and I'll say, they'll say, I just need 15 minutes of your time. If you can meet me for coffee and, just explain to me how you, select paint colors and how you do this. And I'm like, you know what? I would love to do that. But if you'll just go to my website and you can schedule a time with me, and I'd love to meet with you and show you how I do that. And, that lets me know really fast. If they're willing to pay for it, then it's, it's a value to them.
Interesting.
And if they're not, then it's not. So.
And are you willing to share what you charge for that?
Oh, sure. $75.
Okay. See, it's reasonable. It's a reasonable price. So that is so excellent, Elizabeth, because $75 is not so expensive that if somebody legitimately wants a little bit of information, they need to understand that there is a value attached to it. And it's not such a high price. But to your point, no one has taken you up on it yet. So they really are just tire kickers and people who are looking to take advantage.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay. I love it. It's funny because I wasn't 100% sure if Acuity scheduling would completely relate to interior designers. I remember the interview, and I remember specifically thinking back to Veronica Solomon's interview from Casa Valora in Texas. And I remembered she had different things like that, different types of appointments that were available. And I thought, well, if one designer does, then another one must as well. And that's why I thought that show might be, a value. So I'm glad to know that it was. I switched to Acuity after speaking with Gavin as well. I was using a different service, and I was just like, oh no, heck yeah, this is so much better.
Yeah, it's been of great value to me. I just so appreciate you having him on. I had not heard of that before.
Yeah.
So
now that's an example where it's helped you because you don't get muck and mired into people who just want to pick your brain and really drain your brain. Exactly. Have you also, and if that's the only thing it did for $9 a month, I think that's worth it, right? But have you also have it work for like an initial consultation where people are spending, more money to make that appointment, or is it mostly functioning as a weeding out purpose?
No. Yes, I absolutely have people book appointments through it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it kind of takes the weirdness out of it for me because if somebody calls me, not about a legitimate appointment, just wanting to meet for coffee or advice, used to, I'd be like, oh, I'd feel really bad if I didn't do it. But then
Yes.
if I went to do it, then I'd be really upset because I just blew 2 hours out of my day, for
Right.
essentially nothing. And it's not, making me any money. And I'm
Right.
giving them my knowledge that I've amassed over the last 20 plus years.
Right.
It's taken me a day or two to know what I know. So
I love that. It's taken me a day or two.
yeah, yeah. So it takes that weirdness out of it for me. And I can say, sure, I would love to do that with you, and just head to my website and book the time. And then I know, and it takes the weirdness out of it for them too, if I were to ask them to pay. So
I have a question for you. So like I said, I can completely understand weeding out the people who are not serious, but when there is somebody that's serious, so for instance, many designers have expressed on the show that they will engage either themselves or someone in their, like their office manager or their project, not maybe project manager, but administrator. Like I know at House of Funk, Sandra has Rania, who is the gatekeeper. We call her the gatekeeper. Okay. And so some designers function as their own gatekeeper. Others have someone that does it for them. But generally there will be that first 15, 20, 25-minute conversation when you are sort of figuring out if it's a project that is good for you as much as they're finding out about your firm. And then the appointment is made for the paid consultation. So
sure.
Do you still have that in between, or do they just, you don't care? If somebody's not willing to pay for the first consultation without a pre-phone call with you, then you have enough business and it doesn't matter. Like, where are you at with that?
I actually have a discovery call on my Acuity scheduling as well. That's 15 or 20 minutes and it's free, just for that.
Okay.
If you want to talk to me and we want to see if, we think we, might want to have an initial consult, or you feel like, we could work well together. So I absolutely will. It's not that I think I'm too good to talk to somebody on the phone.
Not too good. You might be busy enough that you don't need to. Right.
But I don't want people to get that impression. But yeah, no, I absolutely do that. And people who are legitimately wanting to speak to me about, a construction project or whatever, I say, sure, schedule that and let's talk. So
I love it. So we have a discovery call, and then after a discovery call, you might suggest to them that, you know what, maybe all you need is a pick your brain call. Why don't you go ahead and schedule that? Or it sounds like you could benefit from an initial consultation. Go ahead and book that and pay for that.
Sure.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
I
it.
do too. It makes me so happy.
I love it. Okay. So number 3 is Kate the Socialite, and she was on episode 104. I have to say, between Brittany and Kate, I don't know who's cuter. I'm just going to put that out there. I love both of these ladies, and I was so impressed by each of them at how together they are in running their business, how focused they are in running their business, and how niche they are in running their business. And so Kate was episode 104. Tell us about what you learned and what you are doing with Kate now.
Well, I love me some Kate. I'll tell you that. She is doing my newsletters. I initially signed up with her and to do the newsletter service that she provides. And it's wonderful. She sends out newsletter templates that you can, just customize to your business and fill out and, schedule to send out. And that's great. However, after I signed up, I found that I wasn't doing it as regular as I wanted to. I mean, I had it on my calendar, but, I would have to run to a job site, blah, 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 whatever. So I finally thought, you know what? I'm just going to let Kate do it for me. Sometimes I just have to be hit over the head before I realize something. So now I let her do it for me, and they're beautiful and it's automated. And, I'm just trying to figure out what else I can get her to do for me.
And have you noticed a return on that? Have you noticed more engagement, and how big is your newsletter email list, and how, what's happened from doing it?
Well, my newsletter email list is not very large because I have 2 email lists. One is for my blog, and then I created one for my newsletter after I listened to Kate's episode and just put all my prior clients on there, right?
Okay.
So I think it's like 85 people or something like that. The very first newsletter I sent out I booked a job with a prior client
Whoa.
from that newsletter. I hadn't seen a
Whoa.
client in about 2 years. Precious people. And she responded to the newsletter like within an hour after it went out. And the particular newsletter was about window treatments. And she said, I need some new window treatments. But before I do that, it's really jogged my memory that we need some new doors. And I wondered if you could come put some new doors in for me and help me with that.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. I love it. Kate does our Facebook for Window Works. Yes. And so, I love it. And I'll just let everybody know that Kate has a podcast now. And I know it's very good. I think it's called Kate the Socialite. I imagine it is called Kate the Socialite. I can look on my phone while we're doing it because, of course, I'm subscribed to it. I mean, let's be serious.
I know, me too.
But
does your Facebook?
What's that? Yeah, she does the Window Works Facebook. So, yeah.
There's something else she can do for me.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So, okay, so I love it. So that's episode 104. And I will just give a little caveat here that I realize I probably should. I said it a little bit about Brittany's episode, but, people's businesses evolve and they change. So if you go back and you listen to any of these episodes that are business coaches or our services, if their pricing or their structure or their business has changed since that episode, you're just going to have to get over it and just see what's going on with them now. So now we're on to number 4, and that was episode 112. You mentioned the one with Kimberly Selden and the one where she talks about her systems. Tell us your ahas from that, Elizabeth.
Well, my ahas for that were I need to, for my clients, have a little more focus and a little more detail. It makes them feel more comfortable. And so when I started using specifically her 15 steps for the intake of a client and how the process works, I include that with my contract, when a client signs on with me, and it's part of their contract so they can see it. They have a paper copy of it and it's online, and they know, here we are. It's kind of like a checklist. We've done this. This is the next step, and through completion. So, and I find it just makes me look more professional as well, along with giving them comfort to know, what's going on. So.
Well, I can hear the value in there. It's not only something for you to actually have as a roadmap in working your project through, but it, like you said, as a client, it helps them understand where the next thing is and what's going to happen. So they're not sitting there with it. There's nothing more uncomfortable. It's exactly that. How much every time. I'm like all over the place, right? So like when you're driving somewhere and it feels like you've never been there before and it feels like it takes forever to get there, but it feels like it takes, quick as heck to get back because you know where you're going. Exactly. And so that's nice that you're mentioning that it's beneficial for the client as well to know where the project is going and what they can expect next. And I have had designers mention to me that they have taken her 15-step program. Of course, many do every step religiously. And then I've had other designers say to me, I've tweaked it a little. I don't do 15 steps. I do 11 steps or this or that or the other thing. Do you follow it religiously, or have you sort of made it your own thing?
I kind of follow it to the T. It depends on what type of project I'm doing. Because I do design and I'm in construction. It kind of depends on what kind of project we're doing. So, on a new build, it's going to differ a little bit, but I write that into my agreement so they'll understand, what's going where. But I pretty much follow it.
Okay, good. I love it. I think it's great. All right. Your 5th lesson is episode 256 with Nancy Ganskaufer. I love Nancy. We all know that.
I love Nancy too.
Oh, man. I just think she's just one of the smartest business coaches out there. And 256, she's been on the show a couple of times, but 256 was your business and words. And if anybody listens to the show, you know exactly how I feel about your business and words. I think this is one of the single most efficient things that any business owner can do in order to gain clarity on what it is and why they do it. I just love it. Tell us what you learned and why you love it.
Well, I love it because, when somebody asks me, what do you do? What do you do? sometimes I just stand there and look at them with this dumbfounded look. I'm like, I don't know what I do all day, um, but it gives me an elevator pitch, just a confirmed, and I usually just use the first sentence. I mean, I have written out the entire thing, and I don't have the entire thing in front of me, but it just gives you clarity, and it gives you that quick snippet to say, and it's impressive, and it exudes confidence and lets them know that you know what you're doing, and you're excited to do it. So,
you want to share your first sentence with us?
Sure. I'm the most creative and hardworking designing contractor you will ever work with.
I love it. Designing contractor. You see, I love that. That's awesome. I love that. That's terrific. It says a lot, and it's exactly it's exactly as you just said, and that's what I fell in love when Nancy on episode 256 went through the process of teaching us right in the episode how to do your business in words. I remember my aha about it was that every single person, no matter how difficult it is for them to think about speaking up for themselves, could learn a way to put it in an engaging, confident way. And
Yes.
that was authentic to you, so that it removed that whole I feel funny talking about myself element from a stranger introduction, right?
Yes, that is so true. And the exercise, the way she has it written out, it's easy. Okay, let me back up. It's not easy because it took me about a month.
Yeah.
Because I would work on it and then I would put it down and I'd come back later and I'd think about something else. So you really have to kind of dig in and think about, how you would describe what you do. And so it takes a while, but when you finally get it,
yes,
it's really good. It's really good.
I agree. And I'm glad that you mentioned that it took you several weeks to do it, because I think that's the best way to approach it. Not that you need to take several weeks. Okay. You don't have to take a month, but it's not a 15-minute exercise.
No.
Not if you're doing it really well and really, because I mean, that's one of the big things that a lot of designers say to me when they email me or call me or I work with them. They say, I don't know what it is about me that's different. And that is one of there's 2 or 3 episodes that I really feel help you get to that. And that is one of them. So I'm so glad you brought it up. So that's episode 256. And in that episode is a PDF download of the exercise or a link to Nancy's show where Nancy's email. Oh my goodness. A link to Nancy's website where you can get it. So one or the other is there. Okay. So your 6th thing was episode number 247, Molly Mahoney, the prepared performer. She is a love. She is just so terrific. What did you learn from that episode?
Isn't she a hoot?
Yes.
I mean, she is just a hoot. Okay. And I told Nancy about this and she was like, what? Really? What I got from Molly, I got lots of things from Molly. And if you follow her at all, you will too. But the huge thing that I implemented from listening to her was a plugin for my WordPress site that actually will take my Facebook Live videos and automatically put them on my WordPress site as a blog post. Wow. And when it does that, it also imports all the comments, all the likes, and everything associated with that video that helps your SEO on your website or your WordPress site, which is kind of huge, I think. So
now, see, there's a perfect example. I'm going to tell you guys right now why this is a perfect example of why I thought that this type of show is beneficial, because I actually conducted the interview, was there, first place, first person. I actually had to re-listen to the interview in edit and then in proof, and I did not remember that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And
yes.
I'm sure I wrote it down in my notebook of, we've got to do this for WindowWorks. We have to take all Kimberly's Facebook Lives and have them immediately upload to our WindowWorks blog. But you see, this is the thing, and this is one of the things that people share with me a lot, that there's so much information coming to us through this podcast that it's hard to know when and where what to do. And also on top of it, if you don't take the action right then and there, months later, you forget about this fabulous, wonderful thing that could be really boosting your business right now. And so I just learned something from something that was unremembered. Awesome.
Yeah. It is just, it's such a cool thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's really cool.
I wrote it down with a big star on my notebook. Somebody on my team has to find the plugin and get the plugin and make the plugin work.
It's called Simple Social Press.
Okay. I'm going to tell you what's really funny. I think I used that plugin for the podcast and had no idea that I'm not using it for WindowWorks. Love it.
Really?
Yeah. Talk about duh.
Well, there you go.
Exactly. Okay. So then your seventh lesson and aha was episode 250 with Jessica Brace. And she is a Facebook Live queen. And she is the host of the Facebook community She Broadcasts. And so tell us about what your takeaway from that episode was.
Just do it.
Just do it. I love it.
Not to sound cliche, but and it's hard. It's not easy at first. It's easy, but it's very you feel kind of weird and you feel all the things. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And to me, it's so much easier than blogging, mm-hmm. A written blog, mm-hmm. because it takes so much less time. And the engagement that you can have with your clients or your followers is really cool because you can speak to them in real time, and it's just really neat. So after I listened to her, I thought, I just need to try it. I just need to do it. And I did. And so I've been doing it ever since. I tried to do it every day, but that was too much. So now I do it, 3 or 4 times a week. So
now, do you take the time to do it the same days at the same time, or are you just showing, just getting in there and giving your advice and tips as you're inspired throughout the week to do it? How are you approaching it, Elizabeth?
I started out trying to do it at the same time every day with a schedule, with a topic, and it became a little overwhelming.
It's like another job.
Yeah, it is, really. And so, and because of my job, it's really hard for me to have a set something every day because I might have to leave for a job site or whatnot. There might be an issue somewhere. So now, that gave me even more stress trying to put so many parameters on it. Mm-hmm. And that does not come across well. Mm-hmm. If I'm sliding in on 2 wheels trying to get online and say something meaningful and I don't have anything. So just kind of going more loose with it and doing it 3 or 4 times a week when I have something of value that I feel is of value to somebody else, something that I try and really pay attention to any issues I may have on a job during the day, or, that I think, oh, somebody else might have had this, or, I can speak to this. And then I'll come home. I try and do them between 3 and 5 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And, just speak to something I think that'll be of value to somebody.
Now, give us some perspective. How many followers do you have on Facebook? Approximately.
1,700 maybe.
Oh, you have a good following on Facebook.
On my business page.
Yeah. On your business page, you have 1,700.
Yeah, well, you're making me want to go check now. I'm pretty sure I'm telling you that.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. That's terrific.
I think that's it.
And have you noticed a difference in the engagement in the community that you have with your followers on Facebook since you're doing the lives, or it hasn't really made a difference yet? Tell us a little bit about is there, would you say, yes, you learned it. For you, it's easier than writing a blog. But are you experiencing some actual results from taking the time out of your life to do Facebook Lives regularly enough?
I have booked an actual kitchen remodel that's on my books right now from a person that I did not know that found me, that saw my Facebook Live.
Oh, wow.
So that's measurable. I mean, I knew, and that was probably about 2 months after I'd been doing them. Because, you do wonder, well, is this helping anybody or whatever? But when I got that call and the lady said, I've been watching your Facebook Lives and I've read some of your articles and, I really think that we might work well together. That's another thing about Facebook Lives. lives, people get a feel for your personality,
Mm.
and they can kind of understand, or maybe feel like, yeah, I think I like her, or no, I don't like her, or
Right,
just
right.
get a feel for you. So yes, I have 1,751 followers on Facebook. You made me start double thinking
No,
that.
that's amazing. That's a nice chunk of followers on Facebook. I love it. So, okay, so look, it's all the things that we were taught by the Facebook Live series that we did. There was about 6 or 7 shows in the Facebook Live series over the course of 2.5, 3 months. And it's one thing to hear it. It's one thing to say, hey, if you do Facebook Lives, your potential client can get to know your personality and la la la. And it's another thing to have it work for you. And the other thing too is to not miss what she said in there. What Elizabeth said in there was after about 2 months, she got somebody that responded and hired her from it. So a lot of us, I'm speaking for myself, a lot of us don't even get to the 2-month part before we say the heck with it. It's like, whatever, I'm over it. So Kimberly has been doing it at WindowWorks. Kimberly and Rich have been doing it at WindowWorks, and they only do it once a week though. So I have a feeling that we would have more engagement and better results if we committed to doing it more often. But, it's not, I'm happy with the once a week. I'm very happy that they've taken the initiative and they're doing it. And when the universe allows more time and space, maybe we'll add more to it. But so awesome. I love it. Okay. Then we had episode 215 with Kate O'Hara. And she talked about a lot of things on her show. I mean, they have, hundreds of thousands of followers on their Facebook and their house.com. That's crazy. She is the marketing director at Martha O'Hara Interiors. And so what did you learn from Kate?
Scheduling Instagram and Pinterest posts. I spent a lot of time during the day thinking, oh, I need to put that on Instagram, or I need to put that on my Facebook page, because I feel like I have to constantly update everything, to keep everything fresh. And that takes time and mental energy, to think about, oh, would this look good, or would this be of interest to somebody? So now I take time on Sunday afternoon and I sit down for about an hour and I schedule out the whole week and I don't think about it again. And it's kind of freeing, because I don't have to think about it again, and I don't have to feel like I'm behind the 8 ball because I haven't updated this social media or that one. So that was.
And what are you using to schedule Instagram?
Tailwind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I keep hearing about Tailwind. I am using the Daily Grum or something, the Grum dashboard, or something like that. Ashley Folks was on the show on a Power Talk Friday, and he talked about SEO. He's an SEO expert, and he told me about the Daily Grum. But I think it's been in between since that show that I keep hearing about Tailwind. I just heard it on Mark McDonough's live, Facebook Live. He does Facebook Live.
I know, he's great.
Yep. And Lumen was talking about Tailwind. I think I see so many things. I think it was Lumen that was telling us about Tailwind. I can't keep it straight. I listen to 9,000 podcasts and Facebook Lives.
Me too. And we take it so much. It's hard to, that's why when I made this list, I had to sit down and look back at the episode numbers and think, wow, I really got a lot.
Yes, it's awesome. I love it. Okay. And then piggybacking on Pinterest, you also mentioned the episode 292 with Summer Tannhauser. And she's a Pinterest expert. Tell us what you took away from her episode.
Okay, really cleaning up my Pinterest boards, because Pinterest is a search engine. I had never thought about it that way, but it is so a search engine. It really is. So I took her steps and I sat down and I cleaned up my boards, and the boards that don't really pertain to my business, maybe kids stuff or family stuff, I made those secret. So only I can see them. And then, so everything on my Pinterest board or my Pinterest page is very clean now. And all of the titles are very similar, very relevant to what I do. And I try to, make them more curated. I hate to use that phrase. I don't even like that word, but that it has some thought to it.
Right.
So
intentional.
Thank you. There we go.
And have you noticed more engagement, or have you noticed more traffic to your website because of it?
Absolutely. That, and in combination with scheduling, I can track that, and I could see as soon as I kind of cleaned them up, it started going up, and in tandem with having Pinterest scheduled and things going out every day, both of those two things together, really, I really saw an increase in my traffic. Literally the first week, I had both of those things in place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now tell me, when you say scheduling your pins, what are you scheduling? Are you taking the time to take your own photographed work and, hooking it up and scheduling, or you're finding pins on Pinterest and you're scheduling those pins? What are we talking about there?
When I started, I was using pins that were already on Pinterest, but now I'm going back in, and I believe it was Summer that said this, and I may be wrong, but to go back into your blog post and take your featured image or a good image from it, put it in Canva, put the title on it, and then pin that. So I'm working on those now. I haven't gotten any of those. I think I've done pinned one, but that takes a little bit of time.
Yes.
So, and especially going back through old blog posts. But now going forward, like I've done the last blog post I wrote last week, I did it, and I could immediately see, that was engagement with that.
I think that might have been Allison Fannin that told us that, because I feel like she was talking about, and it also could have been Leslie Carruthers too, one or both, and they both may have mentioned it.
Oh, Leslie's probably told me that too.
Yes.
I love me some Leslie. So.
I know. So. Yes. Okay. So that's a great thing to understand. But in the beginning, and not only just the beginning, but in order to keep content coming, you are scheduling pins that are other people's pins as well. They just are speaking to the aesthetic or the board that you're pinning it to.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't represent it as my work
at
all.
You don't say it's your work. No, but you're pinning it. Okay. I love it. Okay. So let's go right and piggyback there, because you have on here episode 209, Savor Partnership with Leslie Carruthers and Sam Henderson. So tell us what you learned from their episode and what has happened for you since then.
Well, I learned a lot from that episode, and what's happened for me since that is I hired Leslie and Sam to produce an opt-in for my website, and it's a 4-page mini magazine, and it just came out this week, so I'm really excited about it. We revealed it at Design Bloggers Conference, and so that was kind of exciting. She had it up on the screen, and but what I learned, one of the main takeaways from their podcast is you have to have an engaging opt-in to draw people to your site. And I had an opt-in. Was it engaging? It was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. I did it. This new one, my 4-page mini magazine, it's on lighting. It is beautiful. It's beautiful. They created such a really, really nice piece of work. So I'm excited about that. So,
and in full disclosure here, it's not inexpensive to have this 4-page mini mag created. In other words, I don't know the exact price, but it's not, a couple of $100s. And
right.
And by the way, it should not be.
No.
These are two people with combined, more than 20 years probably experience, each of them at what they do, and they are expert at what they do. Sam comes from, highly stylized. I don't remember his pedigree, but I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is like, in his pedigree with graphic design and magazine and editorial design. And of course, we all know Leslie is just dynamite at blog writing and copywriting and marketing and advertising. And so it's a rather expensive thing to do. But what we know is if that we do, what is the point of having an inexpensive opt-in that nobody opts in for, right?
Right. Exactly. And that's what I had for about the last 2 years. So, it's an investment, and it was one I decided that I thought would be worthwhile for my business.
I'm glad. Yeah. I'm sorry that it just launched this past week, because it'd be interesting to know the difference in how many people opt in, like over the next month, as opposed to even the last 2 years. I'll bet it's
right. I can tell you, since it released, I've had more people sign up in a week than I ever have.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. So you already have an actual return on what it's happened. You already have the analytics
Oh,
on that.
yes. Yes.
And,
And it's
and,
that Thursday, I think. So,
and these are strangers. These are people that you did not know before that were not on your email list. This isn't your mother and your brother and your sister.
yeah, that's right. I don't think my mom's downloaded it yet. Well, no, you know what? No, she has, because it went out. I pushed it out to all my existing subscribers. So, yes, about I'd say from the people that have subscribed, probably 25% are people that I know, and probably 75 are not. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to liken it to. In other words, we not so much, not it's not an a lot of interior designers don't do print magazine advertisement, but many do. Okay. But if you were to go, I know for here, if you go and put your 4-color full page ad in a shelter magazine in the New York metro area, you're going to drop almost $4,000 to do that,
Oh,
like
yeah, I'm
easily.
sure.
And some of the magazines, it would be even more. And the thing about that is that's a one-time thing. It sits there. It goes on the newsstand. Somebody buys it. They flip through. Maybe they see it. Maybe they don't. And by the way, there's a time and a place, and that's necessary too. I shouldn't even be sounding like I don't agree with that. I mean, we engage with that at Window Works, but I'm just saying that for, when you think about something that has already gotten you more opt-ins in 1 week than your own opt-in did for 2 years. That's a pretty significant statement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the thing, what we know then is that you we have those episodes with Kay Whitaker talking about the email marketing sequence. So once you get them into your little fold there, you have to keep feeding them, but you have that through Kate with your newsletter.
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
So,
I love it. I love it. Okay. Now we have episode number 95 with Adam Japko, who is the owner of the Design Bloggers Conference. And you just returned from that late last night, right before we're recording. Tell us about what happened in that episode that was moved to.
I'd kind of been on the fence about going. I'd certainly heard about Design Bloggers Conference for several years, but it's in LA now. It used to be in Atlanta. In fact, it's coming back to Atlanta next year. But because it was in LA, I just, I'm right outside of Nashville, so that just seems so far away. And I don't know if I can do that. And that's so far. And after I listened to him, I thought, why? It's just a plane ride. Go out there, just go. And you've never been to LA, so go. So we did. So I went. My husband went with me because neither of us had ever been out there. So we went and I had a great time and some great speakers. And, I go to several conferences during the year. And one of the largest benefits to me is networking and, with people that I know, but also meeting people I don't know. Everything. I love having online connections with people, but there's something about meeting them in person that's just, it just solidifies that. So
it's true. It is. I say it often. I love the interaction with Instagram and Facebook and so forth with all the different designers that I've come to learn and know of and become friends with through the different social media platforms. But when you then have that chance to meet in person, it's like, okay, now we're actually truly our friends.
Right.
It just, and it's so funny how I was sitting with Sarah Wilson a couple weeks ago after we went out. A bunch of us were left over after the podcast party at Lefroy Brooks, and so we said, "Oh, let's go out, grab a drink, get something to eat." And I was sitting next to Sarah, and I just literally just started talking with her. And after about 5 or 6 minutes, I looked at her. I said, wow, I'm asking you questions and talking to you like we actually are like really good friends and we know each other. I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, well, aren't we? I'm like, well, right, aren't we?
Yeah. But Sarah's like that.
Yeah,
she's one of those people that it's just, she's so easy to talk to and so kind. And we were on the K-biz blog tour together in January in Orlando. And then, of course, I just saw her at the conference. And that's, That's just the way she is too. So
Yeah, exactly.
so
And
it's
then,
just,
and that is the benefit of going to, whether it's Design Bloggers Conference or it's going to High Point, or we have coming up in just a couple of weeks the International Window Coverings Expo that's going to be in Tampa. And these are the intangibles. I love it. Like, for instance, the Window Coverings Expo, they have I call it like almost like a college, registry of seminars and classes that are
yes,
very specific and finite. They're not, broad topics. They're very drilled down. And so I think they're very actionable, and I love them. But then that other layer of meeting the people in person and creating a friendship, somebody that, and here's why I like that, because if 3 or 4 months from now, or 2 weeks from now, whatever it is, you're struggling with something, that you've met somebody that does business, it's in the same business you are, and you can email or you can reach out and say, can I, talk to you and ask you, what do you do in this situation? And that's where that other level of benefit comes in from going to conferences. I love it.
yes, yes.
Awesome. All righty. And then, of course, we had 220 you mentioned with Darcy Heather. And
Yeah, I got to meet Darcy in person.
Yeah, she was
meet.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So she spoke about, well, two things I heard on her podcast episode: time chunking. She spoke about that, and I've tried to start implementing that.
It's hard to do, isn't it?
It's hard to do, but when you do it, I'm so much more productive. I'm so much more productive. And then, of course, she had sent you a list of what she had learned, and that inspired me to send you a list of what I had learned, because I'm just so grateful that I found your podcast, because I mean, look what all that I've been able to gain from it. It's just helped me tremendously in my business. So
yeah, it's something else. It's the things that we have learned together from all of these guests have been, and it really is. It's a great gift to all of us. I include myself, because there are many things that, of course, I've been through an experience with Window Works, but there is as many that have been new and inspiring and thought-provoking for me as well. And so I think it's just been awesome. And I love it when people like yourself email me and say, I did these things, and these are the differences that happened in my business because of it. So, it's terrific. And then the last couple of ones you have Carla Aston, that episode 242. And we have Fred Burns, 174, and Tabitha Caro, 235. Tell us a little bit about each of these.
Carla, what I learned, I learned lots from Carla, and she's just so wonderful. I was with her on the Design Bloggers Conference and also on the K-biz tour as well. But she is a wealth of information. But my takeaway from her episode was repurposing content. And that's another, just, so smart, but I had never thought about it, I just needed somebody to say it.
Yes.
I think that is truthful with a lot of things. When somebody, verbalizes it, I'm like, oh gosh, why didn't I think of that? But repurposing my content. So I write for a local magazine here, and I have for 6 or 7 years. And so I thought one day, when I heard her speak that, I thought, I've got a backlog of articles I've written for them. Why couldn't I put those in my blog? Duh. Okay.
Yes.
And then my Facebook Lives I've put on my YouTube. I just started a YouTube, but just moving things around a little bit,
And what I want to say about that, which is interesting, is because there's no question that Carla taught that to us and that she spoke about that. And of course, she is an expert. She's built a very successful blog. And on top of being a talented interior designer, her blog is something to be reckoned with. Okay.
Yes,
but what I think is interesting about that is probably, I have no idea of the exact number, but I would take a stab that she's probably the 4th or 5th person that in the course before episode 242 mentioned about repurposing content. And what I love about this it's what I always say. Sometimes you have to hear it a different way. Or you have to be ready to hear it. And so that's why if I repeat a topic, as long as we have a different spin on it or a little different sort of conversation, or just inherently because it's a different person talking about it, because like she's episode 242. I know we talked about that before that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
But, it's how one person says it that sends a light bulb off in your head, right?
Oh, you're so right. You're so
Yeah,
right.
I
So
love it. I love it. And then you had Fred Burns, your
Fred,
only.
yeah, my only. Well, I think I had told you that he had spoken at our RISA convention. RISA is the Real Estate Staging Association, and I'm a member of that. I'm on the national board for them, and I heard him speak at our convention last year, and he talked about you're only. What differentiates you from the designer next door? And
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that for a while, but then I guess when I heard it again on yours, I thought, okay, I know what differentiates me. Why don't I play on that like he said?
Mm.
And so I did. And so now it's on my website. It's on my masthead. I'm the only interior decorator and general contractor, the only female general contractor and interior decorator in Wilson County.
I
So
love it. I love it. I love it. And I love it. When you wrote it in email, you wrote it this way: Wilson County's only female contractor and interior decorator. That's awesome. So it's any little thing that makes you you. And that's what's awesome about Fred Burns, that he always reminds us about that. And then the last one is Tabitha Caro from 235. And what did you learn from Tabitha? Another young, adorable rock star business lady, right?
yes, isn't youth a wonderful thing? It's just beautiful. I'm telling you. These girls have definitely got it going on. I've started her iPhone series, and I've just now started her video series. But I mean, there's just the apps she talks about and everything. I've been taking copious notes, but like I said, I've just started it. But it's really, really good on how to take better pictures and how to edit things and the different apps she's told us about. One of them, oh shoot, I can't remember the name, but a really good app to edit photographs that I've used already. So I've gained so much from her, and I've just started her video course. It's a free video course, and I can't remember how many episodes, but yeah, it's great.
What I love about what Tabitha does is, you want to talk about your iPhone being a Swiss Army knife, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the number, like you said, her whole thing is that through different apps, you can almost make your phone make you dinner, honestly.
I know. That's okay.
And it's all geared towards, I felt that when I learned about her and invited her to the show, because so much of it is geared towards the images and creating better quality images, all using the cell phone, and the presentation of the images and the scheduling and all of that stuff of your images. So I thought it really felt that it lined right up with what we all do here. And but it's crazy because it is an infinite amount of things that she just, and one other thing I love about Tabitha is that she uses the apps before she recommends them. So she doesn't just like hear about it and say, hey, use it. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. She really runs it through the ringer. And if at the end of it, she finds it to be more cumbersome or not as good as something she's already using, it doesn't make the cut. So yeah. So I love it. I love it. I just think it's amazing. I'm so absolutely happy for you, and proud of you is an absurd word because I didn't bring you into this planet, so I have no I have no ownership of that. But I guess I'm just really want to recognize how significant it is that you have taken action on 15 separate things that guests on this podcast have shared, because I have learned all of these things side by side with you, and I have taken action on many of them, but I don't know that my list is 15 long. So hats off to you. So Elizabeth, really, because we can fill up notebooks all day, but if we don't do the things, if we don't take an action, if we don't decide to do it, it's just an idea that sits there. So this is really terrific. And the last thing I just want to touch on before you go is you mentioned that one thing that you already had was a designer bestie. You used in your own words, because we've had Laura Thurman on the show, and we've had Ruthie Stolson, and we've had Cheryl Luckett on the show, and other women, Christy Lou and Darcy Heather and Lisa Escobar, all share that they have designer friends that they do lean on and communicate with on a regular basis. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with your designer friend.
My designer bestie is Christy Barnett, and most people know her as the decorologist. That's her business. And we met back in 2014. She is a real estate stager, and she created a course about psychological real estate staging, her EPS course, and I took it. And I do a little bit of real estate staging. It's probably 10% of my business, maybe 15, but certainly not as much as construction and design. But I've followed her a long time, and she's in Nashville. We're 25 minutes from each other. When she came out with her course, I just kept, for whatever reason, I kept thinking, I need to go take that. I need to go take that course. And I don't know why, but I was just kind of drawn to it. And I met her, and we just kind of clicked. I can't tell you, what happened. We just kind of clicked, and we, started doing an event or two together. We did attend a Sherwin-Williams color mix or something. And from then on, we've just been really, really good friends. And we are friends now. Aside from her being my designer bestie, she's my good friend as well. But she is somebody that, we all need someone in this business that we can call and say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about this? Or have you ever had this happen? Or can you guide me in this? And that's what we've been for each other. And since then, we've gone on to do just lots and lots of stuff together. We started the first RESA chapter in Tennessee together. We've gone to High Point together. We've done blog tours together. So we just really connect. So I think it's so important to have somebody like that, one or 10 people like that, but certainly at least one, that you can go to and get trusted advice, and not someone that's going to sugarcoat everything for you. Right. Somebody that's going to say, hey, girl, that's not working. You need to do something else. So
we've had this conversation before. It's still not working.
Right. Direction. So, and that's what she is for me. And I just think that is so very important, because this is, it can be a lonely business, and, it's just important to have that fellowship and camaraderie and connection with others that understand,
Yeah. No, it is. It's so important. And that's, it is one of the gifts of having the, initial contacts through social media and then meeting in person through the different events or however you meet somebody. But when you, like you said, you just hit it off, when you know that you are connecting at a level that's just a little bit more than, hey, this is great, I can spend 2 hours with you. There's something that happens at another level sometimes when you meet somebody, and to cultivate that and to make sure that you are giving as much as you're taking. But once you've gotten that dance down and you really have reached friend status with each other and safety with each other, then you really can not worry about giving and taking, just being and doing, right? Yes. I love it. I think it's amazing. I just think I thank you so much, Elizabeth, for coming on the show.
I thank you. And I can speak on behalf of everybody that listens to this. I know that listens to your podcast, because it's so many of these things I have done have just changed my business dramatically and changed the way I work and have made things so much easier for me so I can be more productive. So thank you.
Well, I'm so happy to know it, because that is the whole reason that we do it here. We want to help you be more profitable, more efficient, happier in your job, and put some dollar bills in the bank account, right?
Amen.
I love it. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Luann.
So, what do you think? Are you encouraged? Are you motivated to make a move? Do you like this new little feature here on the show? Personally, I think it's awesome. However, I'll go by you guys. You guys let me know if you like it and if you want more of it, because I have to tell you, I probably get an email like this, I would say at least every 2 weeks. And if you're listening and you find that you're thinking to yourself, I've done a lot of things that I have changed in my business specifically based on the advice of the guests on this show, and you'd like to be on the show and share it, then email me your list, okay? So I'd be happy to interview you and to hopefully continue to inspire our colleagues to take action, okay? Alrighty. Now, a couple of shout outs. I want to say I was talking about Kate the Socialites podcast, and it is called The Kate Show. Definitely check it out. It is what she's doing is she is specifically talking about marketing ideas and tips for the home fashions industry. That's us, right? Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to say that if you haven't heard, but Deborah Damari of vegandesign.org, she has started a little Luann Nigara fan club. Okay. And basically what it is in her community at vegandesign.org, where she teaches interior designers to source product for their projects that are all completely vegan. She found that there was a lot of conversation back and forth about, I learned this, I heard that, I wondered what that meant on the podcast. And so she decided to start this group. And what they do is they meet via Zoom and they select a particular podcast episode and they talk about it as a group. Now, what could be better than in a Zoom meeting via your computer with designers from all over the world talking about what you love to talk about, how to make your business better. And you're talking with people who all understand what you're going through. And of course, you're being led by Deborah Damari, who is a seasoned, talented, smart business lady interior designer. I can tell you that for truth. Okay. Now, the funny thing is that Elizabeth and I talked off air how she was there for the first meeting of, they're calling it Coffee Talk, okay? She was there for the first meeting of Coffee Talk, and it was held in February, and she really liked it. And we were talking about so many other things on the show that we never brought it up. So I wanted to tell you that the second meeting will be on March 23rd. Of course, they're free. All you have to do is email Deborah at hello@vegandesign.org and put in the subject line Luann Fan Club, because there are getting tons of emails for all sorts of things having to do with their business, and she'd like you to put that in the subject line so it can get directed to the right person. And then what they'll do is they'll send you a Zoom link for the day and time, and you're in on the group. As I said, it's free. There's no commitment. You don't have to be like, do I have to go to every one? No, you just do it when you want to do it. Do it when you want to enhance your understanding and knowledge of a particular podcast episode. So, alrighty. So I hope that you'll do it. And also, what's funny is I have to say, when I was telling somebody about this, they said to me, oh, there's a group of other designers I heard of that are getting together informally and discussing the podcast. So if you are out there and you have started your own group and you are meeting and talking about the episodes in the podcast and you'd like to let me know so that maybe you can, if you're interested in more people, you might have your own little tight little group and you're good to go. Don't worry about it. But if you'd like more members, don't hesitate to let me know what you're doing out there. Alrighty. In the meantime, I have to say I cannot recommend Deborah highly enough as a moderator for it, because that is important that the person leading the group is a seasoned enough to navigate the conversation for you so that it's useful and valuable and not just like a gab session, right? You got to make it actionable. Alrighty. So don't forget, you can get the things I learned from Elizabeth Scruggs at www.luannigara.com/305. Alrighty, guys, make your list, but do something with it, okay? Have an excellent day. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.